Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. If you watched Tuesday's review of the Heinrich Tauscher, I did say I had a bit of a sore throat. Since then, it's got into my chest and I sound like a Scottish Barry White. The entire room is vibrating around me, but the show must go on. 3 videos a week, every week, and I thought I could croak my way through a fairly simple set of mods today on the Casio Duro. So please forgive me, please bear with me, and please turn the bass down on your chosen device. I re-reviewed the Duro 2 months ago on October the 10th this year, and I was chatting to people in the comment section, and somebody said, "Hey Jody, why don't you modify this one? Why don't you fit it with Sapphire crystal?" For some reason, the thought had never occurred to me. It just didn't occur to me that people would make sapphire crystal for the Casio Duro, but of course they do. You can get a piece of very nice double dome sapphire with anti-reflective undercoating from Crystal Times delivered for about $50, but I thought that was proportionally a lot of money to spend on a $50 watch. So of course I ended up on AliExpress, where I found a nice piece of thick flat sapphire crystal for $18. A stainless steel bracelet for $15 delivered, and a milled clasp to match for about $8 US. All of those mods shouldn't cost you more than about $40. And you know what? This is the easiest set of mods I've ever done on anything. I filmed it all in real time using the most basic of equipment as always, and I reckon it took me 30 minutes. Let's flip the camera and get on with it. So we start with a box fresh Casio Duro and a pair of gloves on to give the vague pretense of professionalism. Now I bought this Duro in January this year, ironically just before they came out with the blue and gold colourways. Obviously all of these mods are just as applicable to those 2 other colours. I'll leave links in the description of the video to the watch, to the Sapphire, to the bracelet and to the clasp, and it's all scalable. You don't have to do all of these mods. I reckon the Sapphire is the most important, followed by the bracelet, followed by the clasp if you're a pedant like me and just aren't a fan of milled clasps. Talking of pedants, I do test that Sapphire a little later on in the video, but I'll give you a clue. It passed with flying colours. Quite impressive actually for only $18 compared to the Crystal Times one at $50 landed. First thing to do then is to remove the original resin band. Now I have a Bergeon 6767, which is the one half decent tool that I bought over the years. Everything else, look at that kind of medieval watch case holder there. Everything else is just from those $15 watch repair kits that you can buy on eBay, and it has served me well over the last couple of years. I'm using the 3-prong case back removal tool here. In practice, it came off very, very smoothly, very, very easily. Now obviously when you mod a watch, when you take the case back off, when you replace crystals, it's not factory fresh anymore. There's no guarantee that the watch is going to be as waterproof as it was when it left the factory. But this one, it's a fresh watch, fresh seals on the back, and no crystal gasket, as you'll see later on. So I'm not worried about this one at all. To be honest, I'm only ever going to be taking it into 2 or 3 meters of water anyway. So case back off, seal removed, plastic removed. That is what a tiny little quartz movement looks like in the back of your giant 44mm Duro if you've never seen it before. So I've never removed the crown from a Duro before. All I did was wiggle the crown in and out, and you can see there's a lever moving back and forth with the crown positions. You can also see a little dot on it there. Depress that with the Bergeon, crown pops out, no problems at all. Bring in the movement holder here. Again, you don't need to use that at all. You can just pop it out on a clean part of your desk, but I have one, so I may as well use it. Popped a little Chinese bowl over it to stop it gathering dust, in theory anyway. Move that to one side. Next thing to do is to remove the crystal, and to remove the crystal you're pushing it away from the dial, if you see what I mean. My crystal press I bought on eBay for less than $20 and it has worked fine. You want one large die underneath to support the watch and a small one so that you don't foul the case when you're pushing the crystal down, and that was it. I got a very satisfying crack and it popped out, no problems at all. Like I said, no crystal gasket here, so easy out, easy in for the new piece of sapphire as well. Just for my own sanity, I measured it up to make sure it was good, and yes, 32.6, 32.7, that's a reasonable margin of error. That is good. And yeah, nice bit of sapphire for $18. I was quite happy with my purchase overall there. All I did next was I hand pushed it in. I just kind of hand pressed it in and then readjusted the dies to make sure, again, the top die was not going to foul the case. Changed that for a slightly larger one than before. Gave it a push, gave it another push, and then checked, and it all slipped in nicely. I didn't get the big satisfying crack that you get with removal, but it sits flush, integrates nicely with the bezel. I was very comfortable, very confident that I had done a good job with that one. And again, to give the pretense of professionalism, my $2 puffer there to get any dust that might have invaded the back of the case over the last minute or so. All that remains now is to reassemble the watch. I flip the case over and then just gently place the movement, the hands, the dial, etc. back into the case, roughly in a line. The theory being here that the crown, once you reinstall the crown, that will pull the dial into its normal position. I did obviously check it. So I reinstalled the crown and then flipped it over to have a look, make sure it was all aligned. And it was aligned, but I wasn't happy. I think there was a little speck of dust there near the index at 7 o'clock. Didn't take me more than a couple of minutes to remove the crown, remove the movement, and give it a little bit of a puff again. Probably something I should have done a couple of minutes before. I think it picked a couple of specks of dust up just over the last minute. There we are, there's the offending article. Bit of a puff, clear that away, and reinstall in the case, making sure I gave that an extra puff as well. No problems at all. That one all lined up nicely as it did. This is a good Duro. It hits all the index as well. I was quite pleased when I reviewed it in October to notice that this one did indeed hit all of those indices. Okay, put that plastic holder back in place, put that case back seal gasket back in place as well. It's fresh. I could have oiled it again, but I didn't really feel the need. And I put the case back on hand tight. I did not use the tool at this point because there's less chance of you cross-threading it and making a complete arse of it if you're just doing it by hand. Made sure it was all going on nice and properly, putting it back into the case holder, as you'll see, and used my 3-pronged case removal tool to give it an extra. It only needed about an extra half a turn, and that was it, nice and tight. Sapphire crystal installed, less than 20 minutes. Okay, on to the bracelet then. The bracelet is all right. Solid links, it was well wrapped in plastic, that's for sure. Hollow end links and a pressed clasp though, so you know, you're not going to get the earth for $15. Like I said, you don't have to upgrade to the mill clasp, but I had one of these lying around that I bought for previous mods last year, so I thought it was worth my while doing so. And big, juicy, double flanged spring bars. Always nice to see that. Unexpected to see that, to be honest, for a whole bracelet costing $15 to come with decent spring bars. So I didn't reuse the Casio ones, I used the ones for the bracelet. Popped it in at one end, popped it in at the other end. So I put it all back together and I put the watch on wrist to see how many links I would need to remove to get a comfortable fit on my 7-inch wrist. I removed, I think, 2 links from the tail end and none from the other side, from the 12 o'clock side of the watch, if you see what I mean. Again, nothing fancy here, just one of those $2 bracelet sizing tools that comes with these kits. I've always found them to be pretty effective. So here's the clasp. It's actually a one that I recycled from another watch. I had a couple of them lying around the house, so I thought rather than buy another one, I would just reuse one for the Duro. Straight swap, one for the other. You've seen dozens of these cheap clasps on entry-level micro brands, I'm sure. Now you know how much they pay for them. They're worth about $6 or $7 at most on AliExpress. Less if you buy in bulk, I assume. And there we are, all mods completed. All that remained to be done now was remove that little Sapphire sticker, give it a wipe, and bask in my own glory, having done all of this in half an hour and not cocked it up. I think the watch looks better on that bracelet, and I think it wears better as well. It's a female mid-link, an inverted mid-link of the end link here. I reckon that negates some of that big long lug-to-lug of the Casio Duro, which has always been one of the problems. 44mm diameter isn't a big issue, but that 52mm lug-to-lug was off-putting for guys with average size wrists or smaller, I reckon. And just for those cynical amongst you, I did a Sapphire crystal test as well with my Omega Seamaster Aquaterra, which bloody better be Sapphire, the Seiko SKX 009, which is Hardlex, and the Duro in the middle. A nice strong read from there. And then the hands at 10 past 10 for the final glory run. Great set of mods. Like I said, they're all scalable. You don't have to do them all. I'd recommend doing the Sapphire first if you have the necessary equipment, and then thinking about the bracelet and the clasp later on if you feel you're going to get some enjoyment out of the watch. I was most impressed with this. I think a worthwhile set of upgrades on a classic watch. I wish Casio offered a slightly more upscale version. I know you can get it on a bracelet, or you can get a slightly different version of this one on a bracelet, but they don't offer Sapphire. That's the thing I wanted. That's what I was really hoping to achieve from this set of mods. So there you have it. I managed to get to the end of the video without losing my voice. What a great set of mods, I think, on a great watch, taking it up 1 or 2 levels at least. You obviously don't have to do them all. For me, the Sapphire is the most important one, followed by the bracelet, followed by the clasp in that order. So $18 plus another 15 plus another 8 if you want to go the whole hog. And I think you end up with a watch that looks better, wears better and is going to be far more durable in the future. There's always a question mark about water resistance and integrity when you're taking apart a watch, but I would still be pretty confident getting this one wet. Thank you for watching. Thank you for bearing with me. I will see you all in a future video.